I'm Christopher, and I've been a power washing company owner for 7 years now, and we are going to talk about how to wash your aluminum siding without a pressure washer. So, when you buy a house or build a house, you may come across the opportunity to have either vinyl or aluminum siding. Neither one is better or worse. Aluminum is a little bit more durable. Typically have to paint it. It comes with different textures and stuff like that. So there's always pros and cons depending on what you like more. What different styles comes in. Sometimes you want the metal sheets. You like that more. So in this article, what we're going to do is talk about a little bit about the cleaning processes for the aluminum siding, a little bit of different cleaning tips, tricks, and things to look out for. So when you're going to do it yourself, and things that I've come across doing, dozens and dozens of aluminum homes. So aluminum is going to look really good for years and years and years, but exposure to the elements is really going to just leave it a little chalky. It can do that with vinyl siding too, but you might notice that if you take your finger across it, you're going to leave a little residue on your fingers. So this is just the oxidization of the metal and the paint. To remove that is pretty labor intensive. You're gonna have to scrub it down with strong soap, but you can definitely do it. And then you're gonna have things like dirt, organic growth like algae, and to clean each one of those is gonna require a little bit different technique, a little bit different soap. You don't need to do certain ones for a long time. You may never need to do it, so like the basic cleaning is gonna be, a little bit of soft soap, soft bristle brush, and then a light rinse for aluminum. So one of the main reasons that you need to be careful with aluminum siding is that you can leave lines in it really easily. You can do it with vinyl too, but you can really take the paint off, and it looks pretty rough after that. So you can also dent the surface. Don't let me scare you. We are gonna learn the soft way here, like the easier way that I would do, if I didn't have a pressure washer. So high pressure might be needed when you want to repaint, like you want to take off really deep chunks of mold or mildew and stuff like that have been eating in. You leave a line across it, but you paint over it. That's no problem. So you can easily brush off the siding and rinse most dirt off the siding with a garden hose and a light brush. Really, you can just spray it on there and it'll come off. So aluminum siding is particularly vulnerable to mold damage. So if you start to get mold grow on there, like algae is one thing, you get a little bit of layer of green. But now when you're talking about mold, it's like a little plant that flowers up and it looks like white and green. And it's like a little circle that you see there. And it'll start to get its divots in, eat the paint, eat down into the metal. And it's when you start getting that up on the gutters and on the fascia of your house, it's gonna leave marks that even sometimes don't even come off with high pressure. So you're stuck with those. So let's see. The emphasis to cleaning with a soft wash is definitely going to be like the soap. It's going to be like if you get the soap on there, that's going to brighten the surface up. It's going to get in the cracks, and then you can distribute that soap equally, which will also loosen up the dirt if you got a light detergent. So if I was going to do this again, as a professional, and I didn't have any of my pressure washing equipment, what I would do is I would get a 5-gallon bucket. Obviously you put your soap in there. I'd get a retractable pole, maybe a 12-foot pole, an 18-foot pole, soft bristle attachment, Dawn soap, bleach, some personal protection like gloves and maybe some glasses, and the attachment to a long hose, like a garden hose, to spray out so you can rinse your house. And then you want a $15 pump up sprayer that you just put your chemicals and soap into the little jug and you spray it, pump up, spray it onto the wall. So if you mix a little bit of water and a little bit of soap, half and half, you got a really good mix. Throw a little bit of Dawn detergent in there. You got a good mix to just kind of squirt on the building. A little bit of extra water you can mix on there, and that will bleach your building and make it look really nice. It's gonna kill the mildew and transform it, but you got to get it over the whole side. So the bleach will kill the mildew, the Dawn will cut through the dirt, and the brushing will agitate to get the grime, and it's not gonna tear up the paint. So you really wanna make sure you're not rinsing too hard. That's why the light brushing is really good. And you may be able to just kind of spray the soap all over everything and then rinse it off too without brushing. It just depends on how easily you can distribute that soap. So after you agitate and loosen all your debris, followed by rinsing away everything as you go, it's pretty simple. You can brush the fascia, soffit, downspouts, you name it. Just make sure that you rinse it very, very well. It doesn't take much to really transform the house. Now your house may be 2 or 3 stories. That's where special equipment like the power washers might come in, or ladders. You can do it the traditional way I was just talking about, but if you have ladders, get out there, you're gonna have to scrub it, get that soap all over the place. Expect to pay, like several $100s for this, like $400 at the minimum up, depending on what town you live in, how big your house is, like $600 and $700 house washes aren't uncommon when you're starting to spray soap and do professional stuff like that to your home. So let's dive into a little bit more detailed cleaning that falls into the restoration side of aluminum and gutters. So there are high-end chemicals that you can get that act as like oxidization removal, which will take that chalkiness off of your aluminum. It's going to take it off of your gutters, in downspouts, stuff like that, and it can take it off the siding of like vinyl too. But it's a lot of labor intensive. You have to put that chemical on there and brush it. You need to do a little bit of research on that kind of stuff. But so you can also get some stuff that you just put on your gutters and it's going to brighten up, but you can get stuff that's $4.99 at your local store. So not every company is going to do this for you, and not everybody wants to pay, $200, $300, $400 to have their stuff brushed down, especially if they have a small little ranch. They can just go out there and maintain that themselves. So these chemicals are not too expensive, and the machines and the tools for it aren't that expensive. So if you do this like once or twice, maybe even 4 times, you're really just doing it for a few bucks each time. Like you might come in time that you want to use that pole for something else. Maybe you got to paint. It's going to come in handy sometime, So in the buckets, you're going to need it. You maybe want to water your plants and your flowers, which, it's a good idea to make sure that you keep the plants watered. If you're going to wash your house and you're going to spray any chemicals, just maybe give a quick rinse on your plants too. So, anyways, let's talk about this. Rust stains, so if you end up, sometimes you might get like irrigation stains on the siding of vinyl, of aluminum. Sometimes those are a little bit more difficult to get out, and that's because the hardness of the water and the rust in the water is beating down on that siding, and it'll actually like etch the paint out and kind of cut into the siding a little bit and leave that stain. Like it's a little bit more difficult to get it to come up. I've had a lot more trouble with the rust, but sometimes, you have to try different chemicals, different strengths, and sometimes I just haven't been able to get it to come up, so you have to test that for yourself. We don't always do rust removal anymore either, so just kind of do your research. Make sure that you wear gloves, because you got to treat these chemicals with respect. You can spend as much or as little as you want on this stuff, depending on how much you want to maintain your own house. Like what kind of problems is your house coming into? Honestly, if you get a little bit of bleach and soap, put it in a pump-up sprayer, spray it on the walls, and then rinse it off, you're gonna be doing really good for your house. It's give it a little brush down. Spend a couple hours on your ranch. It's the irreversible damage that you stop. You do that once every year, or once every 2-3 years, and you don't let that stuff ever start to form. Anything that could start to be causing damage is immediately just dispatched. It's like stopping cancer before it ever gets formed by eating good, drinking a bunch of water, stuff like that. So to recap, you just spray a little bit of soap, a little bit of bleach, a little bit of water, brush it. It's not too difficult. But let's talk about why using a soft approach is so much better. So the title, first of all, is like cleaning without a machine. So let's talk about if you did have one. So first of all, high pressure can blow off the paint. We already talked about that. High pressure can also stripe oxidization. So it will basically leave noticeable marks in your siding. So the only time you really want high pressure is along gutters. If it's starting to get some really nasty stuff going on there. If there's like spider webs, things like that, you're trying to remove old paint so you can put new paint down. Many professional cleaners use what's called a soft washing technique. So you can do this with your own pressure washer. We can go into just what it is, like if you did have pressure washer. So you'd use these machines with low pressure nozzles to spray the soap on the building. And then you follow it up with like a little bit higher pressure, but still low pressure rinse. That's just gonna kind of like guide the soap off and guide the dirt and everything off. So sometimes you need a stronger soap applied to the surface to really kill all of the organic stuff that's growing. And once you are more familiar with those things, you can decide. You'll learn how to dial this up, how much you'll need, what projects require what amount. What else? So What you want to do really is when you're trying to determine who to hire, because you might be watching this from like Utah or Wyoming or wherever you might be living, Montana. You're not in Michigan. What I would do if I were you is I'd call like 3 or 4 different companies and ask them, what are you going to do? Are you going to use pressure or not pressure? Are you going to use chemicals or not chemicals? How much are you going to charge? How long have you been doing this? Do you have any references? Can I read the reviews? Figure out who's going to give you a fair price. Like, I'm pretty price sensitive, so I'm going to be trying to look for a cheaper alternative that's going to meet my needs. I'll pay for what I want, right? But I want to make sure the guy's going to do what I need and what I want. He's not going to show up like and try to rip me off, or like that the vibe is right, especially at my home. I want that. So I'm going to feel him out. I'm going to test and call. So you're going to figure out over time, am I able to take on this project? Am I not going to be able to take on the project? You might want a pressure washer. You got to figure out, like, do you want the pressure washer or do you not want the pressure washer? Expect to spend, like, if you hire somebody, $400, $500, $1,000, depending on the scope of your work. If you want to hire somebody to clean your aluminum house, they might charge you more because they know it's a lot of work. If you want to add your pool deck, that might be an extra $200 or $300 just to add the pool around there. If you have a wooden deck, that might be an extra couple $100. The driveway can be an extra couple $100. So when you're getting into this stuff, you can get into thousands and thousands of dollars. So if you buy the equipment and you take some afternoons, you spend $600 on a machine, well, you can easily pay for that with a little bit of sweat and learning how to navigate around your tools. So a little bit of your own information that you go and you learn and acquire, a little bit of money that you spend, if you care about your property enough, you can definitely upkeep your house for a lot less than what somebody like me would charge you to come out and do the house. Not because we're trying to take advantage of you, but it's a ton of work. A lot of people want it done. And it's, it's just enough to where it does cost enough money that you got to recoup your costs when doing the work for somebody. So give us a call, Diamond Dazzle Cleaning. Go to www.diamonddazzlecleaning.com. If you want us to do it for you, or if you're a do-it-yourself, take this information, apply it to your own needs at your house, and make your day dazzle.